Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty and looked at the massive alien space station ahead. His hands were sweating inside his dress uniform gloves. This was the biggest moment in human history. First contact with the Zephyrian Empire could change everything for Earth. "Captain, we're getting their docking signal now," said Lisa Park from her communication station. She was the best translator they had, but even she looked nervous. The alien language was unlike anything humans had ever heard before. "Ryan, are the security teams ready?" Jake asked his security chief. Ryan Cole nodded. "All teams are standing by, sir. But remember, we're here to make friends, not enemies." Dr. Amy Brooks looked up from her science station. "Captain, I'm still reading strange energy patterns from their station. Their biology is so different from ours. They live underwater most of the time." Jake took a deep breath. "Everyone remember the briefing. The Zephyrians care a lot about their customs. One wrong move and humanity might never get another chance like this." The space station was huge, maybe 10 times bigger than anything humans had ever built. It looked like a giant crystal that glowed with soft blue light. The aliens who built it were nothing like humans. They had blue skin that could change colors, and they breathed water instead of air. "Docking complete." "Captain," reported Lisa, "they're sending us the path to the meeting room." Jake straightened his uniform one more time. "Dr. Brooks, you're with me. Lisa, keep monitoring all communications. Ryan, stay ready, but don't do anything unless I say so." The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Jake and Amy stepped into a corridor filled with water instead of air. Their special diving suits let them breathe and move normally. The walls around them glowed with patterns of light that seemed to dance and change. "It's beautiful," Amy whispered. "The lights are how they talk to each other." They followed the glowing path through the station. Other aliens swam past them, their skin flashing different colors. Some stopped to stare at the humans. Jake could not tell if they were curious or angry. "According to the map, we turn left here," Amy said, checking her tablet. But the map was confusing. The alien writing looked different from what they had studied. Jake started to worry they might be lost. "I think this is it," he said, pointing to a large door covered in crystal patterns. The door opened as they got close. Jake swam inside, expecting to see a formal meeting room with the alien princess and her advisors. Instead, he found himself in a completely different kind of room. The water here was warmer and filled with tiny glowing particles. Strange music played softly. In the center of the room was a large crystal pool, and in that pool was the alien princess. She was not wearing the formal biosuit that the briefing files had described. Instead, her natural blue skin was completely visible. Patterns of light moved across her body like living tattoos. She had been in the middle of some kind of ritual or ceremony. When she saw Jake, her skin suddenly flashed bright red. Her large eyes went wide with surprise. For a moment, neither of them moved. Jake realized he had made a terrible mistake. This was not the meeting room. This was obviously a private place where the princess came to be alone. He had just walked in on her during what looked like a very personal moment. "Oh no," Amy whispered behind him. "Captain, I think this is a sacred ritual space." The princess stared at Jake. Her skin was still flashing red, but now other colors were mixing in. Yellow streaks appeared, then green ones. Jake had studied alien body language, but he had never seen anything like this. He expected her to scream or call for guards. The briefing had said that seeing a Zephyrian royal in their natural state without permission was one of the worst crimes possible. Wars had been started over smaller insults, but the princess did not scream. Instead, she tilted her head to one side like she was thinking. Her skin started to show different patterns, blue spirals mixed with silver dots. "Human," she said in perfect English. Her voice sounded like music played underwater. "You are not supposed to be here." "I know," Jake said quickly. "I'm very sorry. We followed the map, but I think we made a mistake. Please don't let this ruin the peace talks." The princess swam closer to him. Her skin was now showing waves of purple and gold. "Tell me, human captain, in your culture, what happens when someone sees another person in a private moment?" Jake was confused by the question. "Well, usually the polite thing is to apologize and leave, right? Away. But you are still here. I'm waiting to see if you want me to leave or if I should explain what happened first." The princess's skin flashed bright white for a moment. Then she started to laugh. The sound was like bells ringing underwater. "Interesting," she said. "Most species would have either run away or tried to pretend they did not see anything. But you ask what I want you to do." Jake did not understand what was happening. This was not going like any of the practice scenarios. "Princess, I really am sorry. This was an accident." "I know it was," she said. "I can tell when someone is lying. Your emotions are very clear to read." Her skin was now showing calm blue patterns with touches of gold. She did not look angry anymore. "Tell me about your ship, Captain Morrison. Tell me about your crew." "My crew? Why do you want to know about them?" "Because," the princess said, "in 300 years of formal diplomacy, no alien species has ever accidentally walked into my private chambers and then asked what I wanted them to do about it. You could have lied. You could have pretended this was the right room. Instead, you told the truth and put the choice in my hands." Jake was starting to realize that maybe this mistake was not going to end in disaster after all, but he still did not understand what the princess was thinking. "Your reaction spoke volumes about your character," she continued, "and now I am very curious about the species that produces such interesting individuals." Outside the chamber, alarms were starting to sound. Someone had noticed that the humans were in the wrong place. "Princess," Jake said, "I think your guards are coming." She smiled, showing teeth that sparkled like diamonds. "Yes, they are. And when they arrive, Captain Morrison, you and I are going to have a very interesting conversation about what happens next." The door burst open and alien guards rushed in, their weapons ready. But the princess held up one hand and they all stopped. "Stand down," she ordered. "Captain Morrison and I were just getting acquainted." Jake looked at her glowing skin patterns and realized that somehow, his biggest mistake might turn out to be humanity's greatest opportunity. The guards floated in the water with their weapons pointed at Jake, but they looked confused. Their leader, a large Zephyrian with dark blue skin, spoke quickly to the princess in their own language. His skin flashed angry red patterns. "Hi, Commander Veltar wants to arrest you immediately," the princess told Jake. "He says you have committed a crime against the royal family." Jake felt his heart pounding. "What should I do?" The princess looked at him for a long moment. Her skin showed thoughtful purple spirals. "That is still the wrong question, Captain. The right question is, what do I want to do?" She turned to the guard commander and spoke in the alien language. Her skin flashed with authority patterns that Jake was starting to recognize. The commander's angry red faded to confused yellow. "I have told him that you are under my protection," she said to Jake. "But this situation is very complicated now." Dr. Amy Brooks swam closer to Jake. "Captain," she whispered, "I'm reading something strange on my scanner. The princess's biosigns are not showing fear or anger. She's showing what looks like excitement." The princess heard her. "Your scientist is correct, Dr. Brooks. I am excited because something very unusual is happening here." More aliens were gathering outside the chamber. Jake could see them through the crystal walls. Some wore the robes of government officials. Others looked like military officers. All of them seemed upset. "Princess," Jake said, "maybe we should go to the proper meeting room now. We can start over and pretend this never happened." "No," she said firmly. Her skin flashed bright gold. "We cannot pretend. What has happened here is covered by ancient law that has not been used for over 1,000 years." "What law?" "The moment of truth law. When a stranger enters a royal's private space by accident, and both parties choose honesty over deception, it creates a sacred bond. We must complete the ritual." Jake looked at Amy, who was checking her tablet frantically. "Captain, I can't find anything about this in our files." The princess laughed again. "Of course not. We stopped teaching young Zephyrians about the old laws centuries ago. Most of my own people have forgotten them." High Commander Veltar spoke again, his skin flashing urgent red patterns. Other officials were swimming into the chamber now, all talking at once in rapid alien language. "They are saying this is a trick," the princess explained. "They think you planned this to embarrass me or to gain some advantage in the negotiations. But that's not true," Jake said. "I know. That is why I am choosing to invoke the moment of truth law. If you are willing." "What does it mean exactly?" The princess swam to the center of the chamber. The water around her began to glow brighter. "It means we must each share something true about our people, something real, not the careful words that diplomats use. If we do this, our species will be bound by honor, instead of just treaties. One of the officials, an elderly Zephyrian with silver skin, swam forward quickly. His skin showed panic patterns. "Princess Zaralyn, you cannot do this. The High Council will never approve." "The High Council does not rule on ancient law, Counselor Morthak," she replied. "And I am not asking for approval." Jake was starting to understand that he had stumbled into something much bigger than a simple diplomatic meeting. "Princess, if this causes problems for you with your government—" "Everything causes problems with our government," she said. "We have been stuck in the same patterns for 1,000 years. Maybe it is time for something new." Back on the USS Liberty, Lisa Park was monitoring all the communications. "Captain," she said through the radio, "I'm picking up a lot of chatter from the alien station. It sounds like there's some kind of argument happening." Ryan Cole checked his security displays. "I'm seeing a lot of movement on their station. Ships are arriving from other parts of their space." On the station, Princess Zaralyn noticed Jake touching his earpiece. "Your crew is worried about you." "They should be. I think I just accidentally started an interstellar incident." "Or," she said, "you accidentally started something that needed to start a long time ago." She gestured for the guards and officials to move back. "Give us space to complete the ritual." Counselor Morthak's skin flashed angry red. "Princess, if you do this, there will be consequences. Other species will hear about it. Some will see it as weakness." "Let them," she said. "I am tired of being strong in all the wrong ways." She turned back to Jake. "Captain Morrison, if you agree to the moment of truth, you must tell me something real about humanity. Not what your government wants me to know. Something true about who your people really are." Jake thought about all the careful speeches he had practiced, all the diplomatic answers he had memorized. Then he looked at this alien princess who was risking her political future for the chance to have one honest conversation. "Okay," he said. "I'll do it. And I must warn you," she added. "Once the ritual begins, it cannot be stopped. Whatever we learn about each other becomes permanent. There is no taking it back." Around them, the Zephyrian officials were arguing loudly. Some were already leaving the chamber, probably to contact their superiors. Jake could see that this moment was creating cracks in their carefully ordered society. "Princess," Dr. Amy Brooks said, "why are you doing this? What do you hope to gain?" Princess Zaralyn's skin showed sad blue patterns mixed with hopeful gold ones. "Dr. Brooks, my people have been the same for so long that we have forgotten how to grow. We are afraid of change, afraid of new ideas, afraid of anything that might disturb our perfect order." She paused and looked directly at Jake. "But your species is different. In just a few hundred years, you went from living in caves to traveling between stars. You change and adapt and grow constantly. That terrifies my government, but it fascinates me." "So this ritual," Jake said, "it's really about learning how to change. It is about learning whether change is possible when two very different species choose to trust each other completely." High Commander Veltar spoke urgently to the princess. His skin was flashing warning patterns. "He says that 3 Corax Federation ships have just entered our space," she translated. "The Corax are our military allies, but they do not like humans. They think your species is dangerous." Jake felt a chill of fear. "Are they coming to stop the negotiations?" "Probably. The Corax believe that any species that changes quickly will eventually threaten the stability of the galaxy. They have been waiting for an excuse to act against humanity." The princess looked around at all the officials and guards watching them. "Which means, Captain Morrison, that our moment of truth may be more important than either of us realized." She swam closer to him. "Are you ready to show the galaxy what humanity is really like?" Jake thought about his crew, about Earth, about all the humans counting on this mission to succeed. Then he thought about the princess's courage in choosing honesty over safety. "Yes," he said, "let's do this." The princess smiled, and her skin blazed with golden light. "Then let the moment of truth begin." The water around Princess Zaralyn began to glow with ancient symbols that appeared and disappeared like living light. Jake had never seen anything so beautiful or strange. Even the angry officials stopped arguing to watch. "The ritual has begun," she said. Her voice sounded different now, more formal. "Captain Morrison, you must speak first. Tell me something true about humanity that your diplomats would never say. Jake looked around at all the aliens watching him. He knew that whatever he said next would be heard by governments across the galaxy. His words could start a war or create a lasting peace. He thought about the speech he was supposed to give. It was full of careful phrases about humanity's peaceful intentions and desire for mutual cooperation. All true, but not the whole truth. Princess, he said, the truth is that humans are not perfect. We make mistakes all the time. We argue with each other. We sometimes act without thinking, just like I did when I came into your chamber. Her skin showed interested yellow patterns. Continue. But when humans make mistakes, we try to learn from them. And when we see someone in trouble, we help them, even if it might cost us something. Jake thought about his crew. Lisa Park, my communications officer, spent 3 years learning your language, not because it was her job, but because she believes that understanding each other is the most important thing in the universe. The princess's skin brightened. Tell me about the others. Ryan Cole, my security chief, could stop any threat to our ship. But his real job is to make sure that innocent people never get hurt because of something we do. He would rather die than let harm come to someone under his protection. Around the chamber, some of the Zephyrian officials were whispering to each other. Jake could see their skin patterns changing from angry red to curious yellow. And Dr. Amy Brooks, Jake continued. She studies alien life not to find weaknesses we can exploit, but because she thinks every form of life in the universe is a miracle worth understanding. Princess Zaralyn swam closer to him. You speak of your crew with great affection. They're not just my crew. They're my family. That's another thing about humans. We make families out of people who aren't related to us. We choose to care about each other. The princess was quiet for a moment. Her skin showed deep blue, thoughtful patterns. Captain Morrison, do you know why the other species in the galaxy fear humanity? Our technology advances too quickly? No. They fear you because you change and you help others change too. Most species reach a certain level of development and then stop growing. They find a way of life that works and they keep it forever. She gestured around the chamber. My people have lived the same way for 3,000 years. The same customs, the same laws, the same fears. We are so afraid of making mistakes that we have stopped trying new things. But why? Because change is dangerous. When you change, you might become something worse than what you were before. So most species choose safety over growth. The princess's skin began showing new patterns that Jake had never seen before. Spirals of gold and silver that seemed to move with their own life. Now I must tell you something true about the Zephyrians, she said. We are dying. The officials in the chamber started protesting loudly, their skin flashing alarm patterns. Counselor Morthak swam forward. Princess, you cannot tell them our secrets. They are not secrets, Counselor. They are truths that we have been hiding from ourselves. She turned back to Jake. Our technology is advanced, yes. Our cities are beautiful. Our empire is vast, but our people have stopped dreaming. What do you mean? When was the last time a Zephyrian created something new? When did we last explore a new star system? When did we last ask a question that we did not already know the answer to? Her skin showed sad blue patterns. We have everything we thought we wanted, but we have lost the thing that makes life worth living. The excitement of not knowing what comes next. Jake was starting to understand. That's why you invoked this ancient law. You're looking for a way to change. I am looking for hope that change is possible. Your species gives me that hope. Dr. Amy Brooks had been quietly recording everything on her scanner. Princess, she said, our readings show that your people's brain activity is much lower than it should be for a species with your level of intelligence. Dr. Brooks is correct. When you stop learning and growing, your mind begins to shut down. It happens slowly over generations, but it is happening. The princess swam to the center of the glowing chamber. Captain Morrison, I must ask you a difficult question. If helping my people change meant that humanity would face danger from other species who want things to stay the same, would you still help us? Jake thought about the Corax Federation ships that were approaching. He thought about all the other alien governments that might see a changing Zephyrian empire as a threat. Princess, my government sent me here to make one simple trade agreement, but I think you're asking about something much bigger. I'm asking if humanity would risk war to help another species become free. The chamber fell silent except for the soft humming of the ancient ritual machinery. Even the angry officials stopped talking. Jake knew he was about to make a decision that could change the course of galactic history. He had no authority to commit humanity to anything beyond the original trade talks. But he thought about Lisa Park's dedication to understanding others. He thought about Ryan Cole's commitment to protecting the innocent. He thought about Amy Brooks's belief that every form of life was precious. "Princess," he said, "I can't speak for my government or my species, but I can tell you what I believe. Humans think that freedom and growth are worth fighting for. If you want to change, if you want to become something new, then yes, we'll help you." The princess's skin exploded with golden light so bright that it filled the entire chamber. "Then let it be recorded in the ancient laws that humanity has sworn to help the Zephyrian people find their way to a new future." Counselor Morthak's skin turned deep red with rage. "Princess, you have no authority to make such agreements." "Under the moment of truth law, I have every authority. The ritual is complete, and the bond is sealed." Alarms began ringing throughout the station. Through the crystal walls, Jake could see Korax Federation warships approaching. High Commander Veltar spoke urgently to the princess. His skin showed panic patterns. "The Korax are demanding that we arrest you immediately," she told Jake. "They say that humanity is a disease that must be stopped before it spreads. What do we do now?" Princess Zaralyn looked at him with eyes that sparkled like stars. "Now, Captain Morrison, we find out if your species is as brave as you claim to be." She swam toward the chamber's exit. "Because the Korax Federation is about to test everything you just promised me." Jake followed her, knowing that the real adventure was just beginning. Behind them, the ancient ritual chamber's light slowly faded, but the bond between their species would burn forever. The Korax Federation warships hung in space like dark metal sharks surrounding the Zephyrian station. Jake could see them through the crystal walls as he swam beside Princess Zaralyn toward the command center. Each ship was twice the size of the USS Liberty and bristled with weapons. "Captain," came Lisa Park's voice through his communicator. "The Korax are broadcasting on all frequencies. They're demanding that we surrender ourselves for immediate execution." "What's our status, Lisa?" "Ryan has our shields up and weapons ready, but sir, we're seriously outgunned. 3 Korax dreadnoughts against 1 human diplomatic ship." Princess Zaralyn listened to the conversation with growing concern. "Captain Morrison, your ship should leave immediately. This is no longer your fight." "Yes, it is," Jake said firmly. "We made a promise during the ritual." "Humans don't break their promises." They entered the Zephyrian Command Center, a vast space filled with floating control stations and walls of flowing data. Dozens of Zephyrian officers worked frantically at their posts, their skin flashing nervous yellow and orange patterns. High Commander Veltar approached them, his skin showing urgent red warnings. "Princess, the Korax Admiral Thexcon is demanding to speak with you directly. He says that humanity must be eliminated before they corrupt other species." "Put him through," the princess ordered. A holographic image appeared in the center of the room. Admiral Thexcon was a massive reptilian creature with scales that gleamed like black metal. His red eyes focused on Jake with pure hatred. "Human," he hissed. "You have violated sacred Zephyrian customs and influenced their princess with your barbaric ideas. You will surrender immediately or face the consequences." Jake stepped forward. "Admiral, we came here in peace. Any misunderstanding can be resolved through proper diplomatic channels." "There is no misunderstanding," Thexcon snarled. "Your species spreads chaos wherever you go. First you corrupt the Zephyrians with ideas of change, then you will do the same to others. The Korax Federation will not allow this." Princess Zaralyn swam between them. "Admiral Thexcon, humanity has done nothing wrong. They have shown us possibilities we had forgotten existed." "Exactly my point, Princess. Your species was stable and peaceful before these humans arrived. Now you speak of change and growth like they are good things. Such thinking is dangerous." Dr. Amy Brooks had been studying the tactical displays. "Captain," she whispered, "I'm seeing something interesting. The Korax ships are powerful, but their formations are exactly the same ones they used in battles 300 years ago." Jake realized what she meant. They don't adapt their tactics. "Admiral," Jake said to the hologram, "you're afraid of change because you think it makes things unpredictable. But what if I told you that refusing to change makes you weak?" Thexcon's eyes blazed. "Weak?" "The Korax Federation has maintained order in this galaxy for 1,000 years. By staying exactly the same for 1,000 years, your ships, your weapons, your battle plans, they're all ancient history. Any species that wanted to could study them and find ways to beat you." "Impossible. Our military might is supreme." Jake looked at Princess Zaralyn. Princess, how long would it take your people to modify their defensive systems to counter Korax weapons? Her skin showed thoughtful patterns. If we were willing to try new approaches instead of sticking to traditional methods, perhaps 2 hours. Admiral Thexcon's expression turned from anger to worry. You would not dare attack the Korax Federation. We don't want to attack anyone, Jake said. But you're proving my point. You're so stuck in old ways of thinking that you can't imagine new solutions to problems. On the USS Liberty, Ryan Cole was watching the Korax ships carefully. Captain, he reported, they're moving into a classic attack formation, but it's the same formation I studied in our military history classes. If they stick to their traditional tactics, what are you thinking, Ryan? Well, sir, their formation has a weakness. If a small, fast ship could get between their command vessel and the others, it could disrupt their coordination completely. Lisa Park looked up from her station. Ryan, you're not suggesting what I think you're suggesting. The Liberty is small and fast compared to those dreadnoughts. And humans have one advantage they don't expect, which is, we're willing to try crazy things that have never been done before. Back on the station, Princess Zara Lynn was studying her own tactical displays. Captain Morrison, I am seeing something that concerns me. More Korax ships are coming from other systems. Soon there will be too many for anyone to resist. How long do we have? Perhaps 6 hours before a full Korax battle fleet arrives. Counselor Morthak swam up to them, his skin showing fearful gray patterns. Princess, we must surrender the humans to Admiral Thexcon. It is the only way to save our people. No, she said firmly. I will not betray our new allies. But Princess, what can we do against the entire Korax Federation? Jake was thinking hard. The Korax expected everyone to fight the same way they always had. But what if they did something completely unexpected? Princess, he said, you said your people have stopped learning and growing. But what if they hadn't? What if they were still capable of change? I do not understand. What if this crisis was exactly what your people needed to remember how to adapt and grow? Her skin began showing excited golden patterns. You mean use this emergency to force rapid innovation? Exactly. The Korax think they know how everyone will react because everyone always reacts the same way. But what if the Zephyrians suddenly started acting completely differently? High Commander Veltar looked skeptical. Captain Morrison, my people have not changed their military tactics in centuries. We cannot simply transform overnight. Maybe not, Jake said, but you can start. And you have something the Korax don't expect. Human advisors who think differently than anyone else in the galaxy. Princess Zara Lynn's skin blazed with determination. Commander Veltar, send a message to all Zephyrian ships and stations. Tell them that we are implementing emergency adaptation protocols. Princess, there are no such protocols. There are now. We are going to create them. Admiral Thexcon's hologram flickered with impatience. I have waited long enough for your answer, Princess. Surrender the humans or face annihilation. Princess Zara Lynn swam directly up to the hologram. Admiral, I give you this answer. The Zephyrian Empire chooses change over surrender, growth over stagnation, and alliance with humanity over submission to your threats. The hologram disappeared as Thexcon cut the connection. Alarms began ringing throughout the station. Korax ships are powering weapons, reported an officer. Jake activated his communicator. Ryan, Lisa, Amy, are you ready to show the galaxy what humans can do when we work together with friends who are willing to change? Ready, Captain? Came Ryan's voice. Let's do this, added Lisa, for science. Called out Amy. Princess Zara Lynn looked at Jake with eyes full of hope and determination. Captain Morrison, I hope your species is as innovative as you claim. Princess, Jake said with a grin, you're about to find out that when humans and their friends work together, impossible things become possible. The first Korax energy beams lit up space around them, but Jake wasn't worried. He had faith in his crew, in their new Zephyrian allies, and in the power of species willing to change and grow together. The real battle was about to begin. The USS Liberty twisted and spun through space in ways that made the Korax gunners dizzy. Ryan Cole was flying the ship like it was a fighter instead of a diplomatic vessel, using every trick that human pilots had ever invented. Korax ships are trying to lock onto us, Lisa Park reported. But their targeting systems can't predict our flight pattern. That's because they've never seen anyone fly like this before, Ryan said, rolling the ship under a massive energy beam. Their computers are programmed for predictable enemy behavior. On the Zephyrian station, Princess Zaralyn watched in amazement as her people began implementing changes that should have taken months to plan. Young officers who had been ignored for years were suddenly being asked for their ideas. Ancient weapon systems were being modified with new approaches that no one had ever tried. "Commander Veltar," she called out, "what is our status?" "Princess, it is incredible. Our engineers are combining human innovation techniques with our advanced technology. We have already increased our shield efficiency by 40%. Dr. Amy Brooks was working alongside Zephyrian scientists, sharing human research methods. "Try approaching the problem from the opposite direction," she suggested to a group of weapon designers. "What if instead of making bigger guns, you made smaller ones that could hit more precisely?" The Zephyrian scientist's skin lit up with excitement. "Dr. Brooks, that concept could revolutionize our entire defense strategy." Admiral Thexcon's voice boomed across all communication channels. "This chaos only proves my point. Humans spread disorder wherever they go. All species must choose order and stability with the Corax, or chaos and destruction with humanity." But something unexpected was happening. Across the galaxy, other species were watching the battle and seeing something they had never seen before. The Zephyrians, who had been the same for thousands of years, were changing and adapting in real time. And instead of destroying them, the changes were making them stronger. Captain Jake Morrison coordinated the combined human-Zephyrian defense from the station's command center. "Lisa, can you patch me through to all the alien ships watching this battle?" "Captain, there are observers from 12 different species out there. I can reach all of them." "Do it." Jake's voice went out across space to representatives of alien civilizations throughout the galaxy. "My name is Captain Jake Morrison of Earth. You're watching a battle between two different philosophies. Admiral Thexcon believes that safety comes from never changing, but we believe that safety comes from being able to adapt to new challenges." On the bridge of an ethereal collective observation ship, Commander Nixera listened with growing interest. "Captain Morrison speaks wisdom," she told her crew. "Our own people have grown stagnant. Perhaps change is not as dangerous as we believed. The Corax Federation ships pressed their attack, but their ancient tactics were failing against opponents who kept trying new strategies. When they targeted the USS Liberty, Zephyrian ships would suddenly appear from unexpected angles. When they focused on the station, human-designed modifications to Zephyrian weapons would hit them from impossible directions. "Admiral," one of Thexcon's officers reported, "our battle computers cannot predict their movements. They keep doing things that no rational military force would attempt. Then we will simply destroy everything." Thexcon roared, "Prepare the planet-killer weapon." But as the massive Corax dreadnought began charging its most powerful weapon, Princess Zaralyn smiled. "Captain Morrison, I think it is time to show them what true cooperation can accomplish." She had been working with Amy Brooks and her top scientists on something that had never been attempted before, a complete fusion of human creativity and Zephyrian technology. "All ships," the princess broadcast, "implement the Morrison Protocol." Across the battle zone, human and Zephyrian vessels began working together in ways that seemed impossible. The small, fast human ship would dart between the larger Zephyrian vessels, sharing targeting data and creating openings for precise strikes. The Zephyrians used their advanced technology to amplify human tactical innovations. The result was beautiful and terrifying. Instead of the rigid formations that galactic warfare had used for millennia, the human-Zephyrian alliance moved like a living thing, constantly adapting and flowing around enemy attacks. Admiral Thexcon watched his supposedly invincible fleet being outmaneuvered by opponents who refused to follow the rules of engagement. "This is impossible. You cannot defeat superior firepower with random tactics." "Admiral," Jake replied over the communication channel, "they're not random tactics. They're adaptive tactics. The difference is that random tactics don't learn, but adaptive tactics get better every time you use them." As if to prove his point, the combined fleet began anticipating Corax movements before they happened. The human ability to think creatively combined with Zephyrian processing power created a tactical intelligence that neither species could achieve alone. The Corax planet-killer weapon fired, sending a beam of energy that could destroy entire worlds toward the Zephyrian station. But the station was no longer where the beam was aimed. Using human-designed maneuvering techniques, the massive structure had actually moved out of the way. "Impossible." Thexcon screamed.
Space stations cannot dodge.
This one can, Princess Zara Lynn replied calmly, because we stopped assuming that things have to work the way they always have. Across the galaxy, the species watching the battle were having similar realizations. On dozens of worlds, people were asking themselves why they had accepted limitations that were no longer necessary. The ethereal collective ships suddenly broke from their observer positions and joined the human Zephyrian alliance. "This is Commander Nixara," came a new voice on the communication channels. "The ethereal collective chooses growth over stagnation." More ships appeared as other species made the same choice. The Aquatic Federation, the Crystal Builders, the Star Wanderers. One by one, they joined what was becoming a galactic revolution. Admiral Thexcon found himself facing not just humans and Zephyrians, but representatives of half the galaxy's civilizations. "You fools! You are destroying the order that has kept peace for 1,000 years. "Admiral," Jake said, "we're not destroying order. We're replacing a bad order with a better one." The Corax fleet, designed to intimidate individual species into submission, could not handle a truly united galactic alliance. Within hours, Admiral Thexcon was forced to retreat. But the real victory was not military. It was the sight of species that had been isolated and stagnant for centuries, working together to create something new. 6 months later, Jake stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty as it docked with the new Galactic Cooperation Station. He was wearing the uniform of an admiral now, and beside him stood Ambassador Zara, formerly Princess Zara Lynn of the Zephyrian Empire. "Admiral Morrison," she said, "do you ever think about that moment when you accidentally walked into my chamber?" Jake smiled. "Every day. Best mistake I ever made. The ancient law called it the moment of truth," she mused. "When we arrived at that moment, our reaction spoke volumes about who we could become." Through the station's windows, they could see ships from dozens of species working together on projects that would have been impossible under the old order. The galaxy was changing, growing, becoming something new. "You know," Jake said, "I think that phrase should become our motto." "Which phrase?" When I arrived, the alien princess stood exposed. Her reaction spoke volumes. "It reminds us that the most important moments are often the ones we don't plan for." Ambassador Zara laughed, the sound like music across space. "I like it. It will remind everyone that vulnerability and honesty can change the universe." And across the galaxy, on worlds where people had stopped dreaming of better futures, the story of the human captain and the alien princess who chose truth over tradition inspired a new age of growth, cooperation, and endless possibility. The phrase became legendary, carved into monuments and repeated in schools. When I arrived, the alien princess stood exposed. Her reaction spoke volumes. It became the motto of a galaxy that had learned to embrace change, to seek growth, and to believe that any mistake could become an opportunity if met with courage and honesty. And it all started with one human who got lost looking for a meeting room, and one alien princess who chose to see possibility instead of disaster in an unexpected moment. The galaxy would never be the same again.